When the Acolyte premiered, it had 25% of the viewership of Mandalorian Season 2. Yet Mandalorian Season 2 grew in terms of viewership as the season went along. The Acolyte is actually collapsing, and that means the narrative is collapsing. That means that Disney and its stars are going far, far beyond what we've seen before in terms of sliming fans. We're here to tell you it will not work.
Just like that, see?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the place that is explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve, telling the truth, and oh, by the way, cutting through the nonsense that Holly Weird likes to wake you up with. No, we're putting all of those dumb lies to slumber. And today we are starting off our Acolyte Episode 7 review by a little bit of mocking here that I think is appropriate. You see, Amandla Stenberg, the star of 6 of the 8 episodes, perhaps, she believes that she has been targeted in a way that is absolutely inappropriate. Folks, we're here to tell you we do not condone in any way being mean to others, period. None, nada. But I also think that she might be being mean because I think she's taking a megaphone and I think she's promoting a narrative that is intended to malign a vast number of people. Now, why do I think that? Well, folks, I think that because nobody is watching this show. And so, in order to have people be incensed and angry at you, they have to watch what you're doing. They have to care about what you're doing. And I'm not trying to be mean about this. I'm legitimately saying that the Acolyte, by this point, no longer even charts on any of the ratings charts. No one is watching this. So when you go on to The View, which even The View has better ratings than the Acolyte, and you say that you're receiving all kinds of horrible messages and stuff, I just think this is the Leslie Headland shield. That's what I think this is. Let's listen to a clip of it, and then we'll get to the review.
You have received horrific racist backlash, including threats, and what you call intolerable racism. That
Folks, notice we're not shown these. I think we shouldn't. I think if someone makes a credible threat or they're disgusting towards you, put it out there publicly. That's the way to handle this, because those people who act in such a horrible way should be brought to the light. That's what we believe here. We believe in the light. We believe in things being brought into the public sphere, and we believe in truthfulness. That's what we believe in.
That is your quote. Can you talk about that a little bit, and what has that been like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now remember, no one is watching this show. There are probably more views happening for YouTube videos deconstructing what these episodes are, and they're not much, than people viewing the show.
And I really appreciate you giving me the space to speak about it. It's been very painful.
She appreciates you giving her the space on ABC, which is owned by Disney. Disney owns this. Thank you, Disney, for giving me space to slime the fans who aren't watching the Disney product being presented to them.
For me, it's not something that I think you can emotionally prepare for. And
yet they did. Before the show ever began, they talked about how they were projecting the way the fans would act. That's because they are the ones who tell you how the fans are acting when they know they're putting garbage out onto the screen.
we welcome criticism of the show when it comes to...
Sure.
This coming from the young woman who thrust a camera into her pelvis and gyrated at it while saying, "Blank your discourse." Yes, this same woman.
Storytelling or performance. But when it comes to death threats, horrific, violent, racist language, it's...
Again, here's what you do, Amandla. If that's actually happening, and we would condemn it, and we do condemn anytime this happens, and surely when you become famous, these sorts of things happen to some degree, prosecute these people. Have them arrested. If they're actually doing this, have them arrested. And we will join you in condemnation of that kind of behavior. But if this is the attempt to save the Acolyte, you even lost Grace Randolph. You lost Grace Randolph. Now, here's what we did learn, and John, we always do a recap here, and folks, we'll go into the recap with John in just a moment, and once we do the recap, then that opens the door to Lauren to hop in and question some of the lore behind this. But before we do that, the way in which this episode ruins all the rest of the show is, Soul has already been tricked once by that rascally May and her tattoo, her gigantic forehead tattoo. So if he's already been tricked once by
he
that,
knows about the tattoo. They make it very clear in this episode.
Giant forehead tattoo means that the prior episodes where he forgets, oh, there's a giant forehead tattoo, and where that episode, the makeup artist was like, why don't we not put a giant forehead tattoo on this character where there has been one the entire time? All of this adds up to an episode that just proves this show has terrible, terrible writing. John, let's start the recap, sir. Here we go.
Can I ask a quick question, though?
Please, Wilton.
Are you sure it's not kind of like in that scene, that episode of Family Matters where Steve Urkel's in the pool, and at one point he's got the goggles on, and at one point they're down by his neck, and at one point he's not wearing the goggles, and then they're up on his head, and they're down by his neck, and then he's not wearing them. Is it kind of like that?
Wilton, do you remember the last seasons of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 80s cartoon where they no longer cared and different voices of the turtles came out of the wrong turtles all the time and the colors were changing? This makes that look like a masterpiece of continuity.
Actually, Pro, you know what? I get it that we're all excited to hear what John has to say. I mean, thrilled to hear the recap of this episode. I don't know. Have you read any super chats here yet?
We have not even hit a super chat yet. Should we do that first, Jonas? Should we do it?
We definitely need to hit some of these because, first of all, Ruby Hove gifted one WDW Pro membership, which is
very kind.
Which is very kind. Red Tigress gifted 5 WDW.
And did you guys know that Red Tigress's kindness reaches to the stars?
Wilton, are you attempting to get more memberships on your channel?
No, that's what I say all the time for her.
Okay, I'm just checking. We're just checking. We forgive us for being cynical of your intentions, Wilton.
Or that you're a shill at all in any way.
Oh, definitely.
Badparkplace.com.
Mr. FZ3 gifted 5 WDW Pro memberships. Thank you very much, Mr. FZ3. Tender Warrior 68 gifted 20 WDW Pro memberships.
Well done, son.
Unbelievable here. Mark Nichols also gifted 20 WDW Pro memberships.
Okay, now I'll shill for me.
And
over here.
Not to be outdone, Staccato DDS gifted 50 WDW Pro memberships.
Folks, what a way to start. It seems as if there are more of us and definitely more members now because of the generosity of these wonderful people out there who now can enjoy things such as the Genre Guys, which a brand new episode of the Genre Guys just released today. Folks, let's celebrate in the only Star Wars-y way that we know how. Here we go.
At least that's what I hear.
Wait, what?
Let's go!
Jabba, right?
Oh no!
It's Sarlacc!
Star Wars Outlaws pre-order available now.
Guys, this is
the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
No!
Now, ascend, my son.
That's funnier tonight than it was ever before, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. What a way to get started.
Is that funnier because you're counting down?
Did you watch the episode, Wilton?
Of
course you didn't. By the hair of your chest, we're going to get you up, though, Wilton. Don't worry. You'll understand why it's funnier now.
That's why I'm here.
I just have to get this. This was before the show even started, by the way. Chipmunk of Vengeance for 10 pounds. Acolyte fans like to make headcanons. So I have my own headcanon. The Acolyte is actually a very bad holo novel, and that is why Plo Koon is in it before he was born. Okay,
wait a minute. Was Plo Koon in this, or was it Ki-Adi-Mundi?
Hold on.
That's a joke, Lauren.
There's two things here. First of all, Chipmunk of Vengeance did send in a $5 correction. Meant Key Adimundi, not Plo Koon. But
it was
there
better as Plo Koon, though. It's funnier because
it would have been
fiction. Yeah,
there's someone of Plo Koon's species that looks exactly like Plo Koon.
Yeah,
in the group of Jedi, though. So I would forgive someone for thinking that Plo Koon was in there. In fact, I would think that Lucasfilm probably just messed that one up. So
Plo Koon is alive with the sound of music.
All right. Well, we'll come back to those super chats in just a moment, folks. Before we do, John, it's time for the recap. Get us started.
Do your worst, sir.
If this sounds a lot like episode 3, I believe, folks, it's not your imagination. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. So I didn't take as many detailed notes because, I mean, a lot of it was just repetition from episode 3. But basically, the show basically starts off with showing Torbin being upset that he's out on a field research project.
John, why is Torbin mad? Why is he so disgruntled?
Because he's having to take soil samples and water samples, and they're exploring the planet of Brendok, and I guess they've been on their 5-year mission, just like Star Trek, and they're trying to find a Virgins, and
which is pronounced very oddly, by the way, John, in the episode.
They're trying to find the Virgins.
We need to find Virgins. John, is Torbin's? Are his parents passing away? Is that why he needs to leave?
He just wants to go back to Coruscant because I guess he doesn't like the nature.
So who's Torbin?
Plot. Okay. He's White Guilt Dalsim.
Yes.
The sand is coarse and uncomfortable and it gets everywhere.
Well, in this case, it's ferns. It's Hobby Lobby ferns. They're plastic and they're abrasive.
I mean, who doesn't like Brendok?
And
all right, John. So floating White Guilt Dalsim wants to go home. Right.
And then Soul tells him why they're there because he was never told why he was there or why they're even on this mission. And he explains that they are searching for a Virgins because Brendok had been a lifeless planet after some kind of hyperspace accident 100 years in the past, and now it's full of life. So they're exploring
forests that look like they're 1,000 years old, right, John?
Yeah.
All right. So
forests that look like they're England.
Did they explain that emergence in the show?
No, Virgins.
Virgins, Lauren, and make sure you pronounce it in the most awkward way possible.
Virgins.
Not what I'm talking about. There is an event called the Emergence.
No, they don't say emergence.
No, it's not that.
No.
That's the whole kickoff.
Is that a High Republic thing? Yeah.
Yes, it's the entire kickoff for the High Republic. It's a hyperspace accident. There was a ship that blew up in hyperspace, and when that happened, pieces of the ship started flying out of hyperspace in all kinds of different places and times, destroyed a whole bunch of different planets. So that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, they just says there's a hyperspace incident, and there's maybe like one piece of like, I don't know, looks like a statue. It looks like a ruin that they kind of make camp at one point.
Why does Lauren know that though?
Wilton, never question the encyclopedic knowledge of Lauren. It is the opposite of what lives in your felt noggin.
Yeah, I feel bad for Lauren for reading the High Republic. I hope you just read the wikis.
I read the first novel, and that was the only one that was enough for me. So
was that where Geode hit on the kid?
No, Geode wasn't introduced in that one. So
we all missed that
one. Yeah.
All right, John. So we
explain why everything doesn't actually stink if you've read this one High Republic novel. I feel like that's an excuse they're going to use.
All right, John. So they're on the hunt for Virgins, and they come across two little girls.
Well, hold on. Before that, we get the explanation of a soul tells Torbin why they're doing this, and then Indara lectures him because it's like, why would you tell my Padawan that? I'm trying to make him find the answers and discover them for himself.
Of something there's no way he could ever learn unless someone literally told him.
Yeah,
it's not some great mystery. It's literally a piece of factoid we've withheld from him for 5 years. She didn't say any of this, folks. It's just logic if you were to think about it for 2 seconds.
So she lectures him, and this will kind of be an ongoing theme throughout the episode of Indara lecturing Soul and kind of putting him down anytime he makes any kind of suggestion. And then Soul eventually goes and discovers the two twins messing around with the butterfly. May's trying to kill it. He stalks them to the Hoover Dam, and then he infiltrates the Hoover Dam, discovers what the witches are all up to, their dark rituals that they're going to be performing, that the twins are in danger, that they are training them, reports back to Indara.
And let's pause there, John. These are not actually twins anymore, so we may have to rename good twin and bad twin.
Correct.
Right?
They're not twins anymore. They're we find that out later on after they take the blood samples. So that's significantly later on in the episode, but they take a blood sample, and it's speculated, at least not confirmed, that they are a single consciousness that has been divided into
two bodies.
Two people.
Holy crap! Does that actually mean that like my whole bigoted theory of her being called a peopla actually like works?
Yeah, it does make sense for them being called they, but there's literally two people.
Oh my!
Also, Wilton, I'm convinced this is how you and Floral operate: two consciousnesses inside different felt bodies.
I thought it was a colonoscopy.
Yeah, I would imagine you experience that often.
Smells like a colonoscopy.
All right. Keep
All
going,
right, John.
So they report back. Soul reports back is like, these people are bad. They're up to no good. We need to stop them. And Dara's like, no, we need to contact the council. We got to do all of this stuff.
And folks, when John says Indara, he means Trinity. We apologize for those
Trinity.
of you. Yes, Trinity.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's only there to be Trinity in a robe.
Basically, the first 10 minutes are literally what we saw in episode 3. I don't feel like we've added anything new except for the virgin stuff. And then so they eventually like confront the witches in the middle of the ritual after May had been branded with the tattoo. What are we calling lesbian chief leader?
I don't even remember at this point. Well, she's Smoke Raven now.
I thought it was Mama Cass.
Smoke Raven.
Smoke Raven. Okay. Well, there's 2 Smoke Ravens though.
She got smoked, baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Also, that was supposed to be 50 people. No, that wasn't 50 people. That was like 20 extras tops.
Can you guys like pull the clips of how this happens?
Hey, so can I ask?
We'll work on it if anybody actually watched this and cared enough to post it on Twitter anymore.
What's the race of the turd face lady?
Oh,
is she the same race as Maz Kanata?
Yeah,
we're talking about Horny Head.
Kanata.
Oh, which one? Who are you talking about? Are you
Maz
talking about
Kanata. You remember from the Star Wars nobody cares about?
Oh, she's Mama Odie. That's her species.
She's from Wakanda.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
So we do get a scene where Anasaya is basically like she's inside Torbin's head and is like trying to get him to succumb to her, and basically he does when he says, please, I want to go back to Coruscant. And
okay, wait a minute, John. Explain to the audience again, why does he want to go back to Coruscant?
Because I don't know. I really don't know. He doesn't.
Because he wants to go back to Coruscant. Don't think about it too hard, folks. It's not that kind of show.
He doesn't like the wood.
He doesn't want to be with Brenda.
Tired of spraying off on himself.
Can't take the Coruscant out of the guy, but you can put him in the woods.
He's also like the way they show him in the very first. He's literally, I don't understand how he's even a Padawan at all, because he's just not in control of himself whatsoever.
So who's the Padawan?
The blonde curly head kid that like decided to drink some tree juice.
The one that's not an Asian guy, a Wookiee, or Trinity.
So Torbin,
the youngest old man that you've ever seen.
That's right.
Exactly.
The self-deleter. Yeah.
By the way, I can report, folks.
Guilt. Got it.
And I am trying to find clips of this episode on Twitter. I think even those who were defending the Acolyte they've tuckered out. They're not even posting anything anymore.
As long as we're on that subject, I'm just going to have to point out that when I went on Disney Plus, I assumed it would be the first thing that you see.
Nope.
And I did this on 2 different devices. You had to scroll past everything. It was the very last thing on the slides, all the way to the right. So
can confirm.
So then, literally recap of episode 3 again. She threatens to like tell them to leave. They get them to like test the kids. We go back to the ship. They do the testing.
All over again with the same dialogue.
Right. It's They do show what's his name or self-deleter, white guilt, quote unquote fortifying himself through the Force. He's just there like meditating. And then May does her test. We actually see this. She obviously fails it on purpose. The Jedi realize this, and then Osha comes in. They take her test, and then there's a Indara Trinity tells all the other Jedi to go to the camp where the ruin is.
Right.
As she's the one who contacts the council. There's a bunch of waiting time. Soul's like something is going on, and it's taking too long. And as soon as he's about to like get up and leave, Trinity shows up and it's like the council has refused to train them. We're not doing it. We're going to let them stay with these evil witches that are conducting all kinds of dark ritual magic that you have seen with your own eyes, and we're just going to let them have at it. And
so that way the Jedi are bad.
I guess, yeah.
But we never find out, by the way, also, John, we never find out what made these twins, right? Like there's no explanation at all.
So this is also where as soon as that happens, we get the blood sample report. So she's reporting all of this to the council without like the blood sample going in and stuff. So they're making a decision based off of not all of the evidence. And then so we get the blood sample report, and then it's like one consciousness in two bodies because it's the same symbiotes in the blood. And then
folks, we'll get to Don't Skip Leg Day in just a minute, okay? That's what we're showing you. We're not there yet in the recap. We'll get there.
This causes white guilt self-deleter to be like, oh, this is how I get off of the planet. And he jumps on the speeder and jets over to
By the way, those speeder effects were awful.
I think you're giving them too much credit.
So he speeds over to Hoover Dam. Oh,
well, because I was more convinced in the third film, Return of the Jedi, that the speeder bike was actually a speeder bike. This thing was like, I'm gonna put this thing on a green screen background on stilts in front of a screen that's gonna move. It was terrible.
Well, the CGI has been terrible for the entire show. Every time you see a ship in space, it looks like a high resolution version of the original StarCraft cutscenes. It's terrible. And no offense to the original StarCraft, it was made in the 90s.
$180 million budget.
Yeah, probably 200.
Probably. One has to wonder, why would you hire ILM moving forward if you are a customer who might want to use them for your movie after watching what they're putting out here?
That's a good question.
Can't be.
I'm at a loss
that these people even hire them. They're putting this crap out.
Maybe Pro's onto something. Maybe they're trying to get rid of ILM at a loss.
Lauren?
Well, then there's the scene with May.
Sorry, you're here, Lauren.
Like torching the room. She torches the room, but then instead of her doing it in hate and anger, they now show her being like sympathetic and regretting it. And it's like, why am I burning down? Like trying to put it out and stuff. And it's like, what have I done? Instead of like burning it and like you're gonna die and I'm gonna kill you kind of thing. So who even knows what's happening there now? Because now like they're gonna say like, oh, it's just two different perspectives. That's how Osha saw it, and that is how May saw it. And it's like, well, who even knows what the actual story is now? And then
I just realized. No, John.
Yes,
it's because it's your truth.
Yes, good point.
You're welcome.
Soul and or discount Qui-Gon and self-deleter then confront the witches in the courtyard. They have like a brief conversation. What's her name? Like there's a bunch of explosions happen. Soul draws his lightsaber.
Wait a minute, John. Let's explain how those explosions happen. The explosions happen because Bad Twin, who we now know is not a twin, but a symbiote, bad symbiote, lit a Lisa Frank notebook on fire that blew up a giant building.
No, she's not the symbiote.
I don't think that's why the explosions happened.
Okay, explain the explosions then.
I think the explosions are caused by Chimere.
So
did we go over the weird mind control thing yet?
Yeah, we did that already. That was in episode 3.
No, the weird mind control, like you saw the inside of his mind on the mind control thing.
Yeah, I talked about that. Yeah.
It was so weird and so pointless. Like, why would she? Is this a devil
Because
thing?
he wants to go back to Coruscant bad. Real
And she promises, I can send you back to Coruscant. Okay.
Right. And then he's possessed after he like submits to her, I guess. I don't know.
So is this kind of like Venom?
No, that would be cooler. Much cooler.
Then what's the symbiote? Like,
so
I think
say that
wrong.
the two-
Symbiote with an NT at the end.
Well,
symbionts.
So it's related, anyways.
It's like symbiotes, but savants combined together. Symbionts.
So yeah, they say that the two girls have the exact same M count, and they have the same symbiont,
which would be midichlorians. I'm assuming.
Lauren, what does that mean?
You're muted.
You're muted. It makes about as much sense.
The M count would be talking about midichlorians. They're using symbiont as separate from that?
They're saying that the two girls have the same exact symbiont, but in two different people, and that's why it has to be that they're a split consciousness, which to me does not really understand the concept of what a symbiote is.
No, I think,
and it's not a Star Wars lore thing. A symbiont is a helpful parasite.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're still trying to talk about the midichlorians because Lucas did say that the Jedi are symbiont with them. But that's kind of an awkward way to phrase it, the way that they did, the way that you're saying it.
Well, they're trying to say that these two girls are the same soul, okay, the same consciousness,
right?
But that they inhabit two separate bodies simultaneous.
Right, but that's
artificially created.
Right.
Yeah,
and so I mean, if
that means they're maternal twins.
Like a symbiote is
well
anything that has a semi-parasitic relationship that is helpful to another being. This is something that exists in our world, like those alligators that and the birds that will like pick stuff out of an alligator's tooth. Those are symbiotes.
All right, I'm bored of trying to figure out why Leslie Headland thinks words mean the things that she thinks they mean. So let's move on to Wookiee battle. Don't skip leg day. Tell us about it, John.
Yes. So, well, first off, we got to get to discount Qui-Gon, decide to lightsaber, stab, biped, I guess is what Wilton's calling her. And
Smoke Raven turns into a smoke raven out of nowhere.
She literally like turns into like the like ashes.
Yeah,
and
she does her thing. Nobody knows it's going to happen. There's no reason for it to happen. She just does
turns into a Dementor from Harry Potter.
Oh, that's a perfect way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah. So she's like an ashy Dementor. Soul stabs her, kills her. She falls down and like tells her, "I was gonna let Osha go with you."
The only black woman in the show, an ashy Dementor.
What are you talking about? There's multiple black women in the show.
Can we pause here and say there was a very large woman in this coven in this episode, a very burly night sister witch person who was like, "Hey, maybe we don't need to, let good twin get out of here." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is that how she actually talked?
No, it was like a strange falsetto.
We need to be careful on that one because we know the identity of the person.
Moving along, in the words of Kermit, moving right along.
All right.
So, anyways, I don't know what was I calling her? I don't know. Ashy Dementor is killed by Soul, and then Coral or Horny Head decides to turn into an Ashy Dementor as well
because it worked so well the first time.
And it's implied that
John, what does it do when they turn into Smoke Raven Dementors? What do they gain through that?
It looks like that Horny Head's able to physically possess the Wookiee. So
nice.
Somehow is able to like have all of his Jedi skills and talents, and then attacks, discount Qui-Gon, and self-delete her. And so
that's like the power that is gained when you turn into a Smoke Raven.
I guess.
Cool.
So if that's the case, how did the Darth Mom, I think that's the name we gave her, or the other mom, why did she turn into a Smoke Raven to put out a fire? I'm
to be who you want to be, Pro. That's what I'm getting at.
Didn't they all leave at the same time?
OSHA and May.
Look, this is all you guys are misunderstanding. This chick is a total smoke show.
Sorry, excuse me, that got me.
It was a terrible joke. But look, the thing is we just witnessed the power of many. They were all doing like the seated hula dance, and they were able to take over like stuff.
Right, that's what I thought. I thought that New Baka was being controlled by them.
So I didn't get to that part. So she turns into the horny head turns into the ashy dementor. It looks like she is possessing the Wookiee, but then a few minutes later, after like in between like the fight scenes, they show all of the witches like swaying like they're part of this ritual, and it looks like they're the ones controlling him. And then eventually, when Trinity shows up, she gives another lecture to Soul, and she saves the day, and then does her forced lobotomy on Kelnaka, and that kills all of the witches.
John, you're a smart guy. Can you explain forced lobotomy?
She puts her hand to the Wookiee's head and concentrates really hard, and then all the witches fall over dead after significant time of concentration.
So mass constipation was the end of the witches.
But she did not force constipation ritual herself to death like Luke does.
But what I am getting though is if you think too hard, you will die.
I still don't understand why. So like my biggest question here is why did self-delete? Like what did he feel guilty over?
I have no idea. I mean, he was standing there and a crazy woman turned into a smoke raven, and he discovered that would his lightsaber would kill her, but maybe she shouldn't have turned into a giant smoke raven monster. And
they knew these people were participating in dark and unnatural like force activities.
No,
yeah.
He wanted to get home, John. He felt guilty because he cost everybody everything because he wanted to go home. He was home.
Except he fortified himself though. He force fortified.
Can I ask a serious question here for a minute?
Yes. Oatmeal?
So if I'm understanding this correctly, and I may have the details wrong because this is convoluted.
Thank you.
The Force Raven witch that you're talking about possessed the Wookiee, is that right?
That's what it looks like, but then she disappears. We never see her again. She's clearly still alive somewhere. Well, and then and it's heavily implied that all of these like 50 witches who are swaying back and forth were the ones who were controlling the Wookiee.
Okay, what I was going to ask is who's the one that got stabbed by Torbin then?
That was the
one with the big tattoo on her head.
5 head.
Okay.
No, Soul was the one who stabbed.
Soul killed her.
Soul stabs her, yeah, sorry.
Torbin has no reason to feel guilty.
Torbin doesn't kill anyone.
Right, and he has no reason not to use the Bacta tank that's right behind him, by the way, at the end of the episode.
Yeah, Turbine's fine.
Okay, what I was wondering is if it was possible that if he stabbed one of these witches that was involved in controlling all of these people in that ritual, if he could have thought that by stabbing her, that's what caused everybody to die and felt guilt for that. But if he's not the one that stabbed them, then that's not it. Sorry.
Guys, just take a moment. We need to really congratulate Kathleen Kennedy. This is all going swell. Back from 2020, just so we know, we've almost completed the roadmap. Please let it end. Please, we beg of you, let it end after this show.
There's a couple on there that never made it.
No,
what the heck is a droid story?
I want Lando. I mean, not like that. I want a Lando show because I think that'd be terrible.
No, you don't.
I'm good with not getting anything else until this studio closes.
All right.
What else, John? What else? We got anything else in this episode?
Yeah. So there's like some. So after the forced lobotomy, we then get the reshot of Soul saving Osha. He's actually using the Force to keep both bridges up. He then chooses to let May fall.
Okay, let's hold for a second, John, because this was the worst acting, I think, in the entire episode. The two little girls, despite the bridge leaning down and they're going to die, are standing straight up not even moving their balance because apparently that was too hard for them. And they're literally with one hand barely out going, Osha, me, Osha, me. And that's the extent of the acting there as they're about to fall to their deaths.
Yeah. By the way, all they had to do is take 2 steps back and all good.
Yep. 2 steps back and we don't have to do any of this.
That sounds very contrived culture.
My thing or their thing?
Pretty awful. Like
your thing.
That goes to the production value again that you're talking about there. Like even the physical set was terrible.
John, can we also take a moment to talk about how creepy?
There's like the Jaws ride at Universal was better.
John, can we talk about how creepy this was? That Soul meets Osha for maybe 2 seconds in the woods. And he's like, I sense this is my Padawan. And then I have big connection with this. It was just weird.
I don't know. I didn't actually think it was weird. I thought that was kind of like actual like Star Warsy because I feel like Qui-Gon had that a little with Anakin, so that was kind of what they were going.
He knew Anakin, like he had actually met the kid. This guy let her hold his lightsaber and it's like, she is the one.
I don't know.
She is where the virgins come from.
I mean, they do imply that the planet has like could be a point of aversions. The Force could be strong there, and so like I don't know. That's kind of I was fine with that.
I thought it was great. The planet's a convection oven for cooking the Force.
Okay, so just because me being me, I'm kind of into the bridges. Why the heck were the girls on the bridges?
Because they didn't want to have them in the same scene when they were shooting it on the volume or whatever.
The one girl went down like a garbage chute from her room, and then who knows why May was there.
And May went down like it was a garbage chute later after Soul failed to catch her. So she's got a legit gripe here. You know, since she didn't realize she could walk back 2 steps and be out of harm's way, Soul definitely didn't save her from her own stupidity. But the other one, Osha.
Okay, so
Osha is special.
Soul, I think you said his name is. So Soul, he can't catch a girl, but then in what's it's called? Is it Ahsoka? What's her name?
Yeah,
can,
I was just about to bring that
throw
up.
a guy up like within 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Just checking. All right, so that's the episode, right, John? We're done now.
We do have one more thing here because they get back to the ship, and Indara, for good measure, continues to lecture both Soul and Torbin, and then she actually physically attacks Soul when he's just like, "I disagree with you," and she like actually like attacks him.
Very Jedi.
I mean, that's pretty womanly. So
and then Torbin finally like was like, "Master, and she finally like starts getting control of herself. And then she then instructs the team to lie and tells Soul not to tell Osha the truth.
There's a lot of that on this show.
Yeah.
Who's Ulic Keldroma?
Oh, very powerful Jedi Master, right?
Oh,
who
actually
stealing the answer there, stealing the question.
Well, yeah, and
I was going to say very powerful Jedi Master myself, but now that
more like Lou Sky.
He's referencing KOTOR multiple times. Sorry,
I was just going to say it was a punk, but whatever.
Yeah. Ulic Keldroma was well. There were 2 brothers. There was Ulic and Kay Keldroma, who apprenticed under Master Arca. They were from the Old Republic period. In fact, some of the first story arcs and tales of the Jedi.
I thought I was going deep lore, but like 3 people on the panel knew who that was, so I'm just going to be quiet now.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the trivia stuff and the one that I biffed last week, John, I don't know if you found from the chat, other people had mentioned it. Boba Fett's rifle is an EE3.
Okay, there we go.
Lauren, before you go, I want you to watch all these witches go down in force constipation or thread constipation.
This is so good. Embiggen.
In the common room, the witches all collapse.
wait, there's audio. Oh, it's got the
audio description.
It's got the audio, an edit for humor, folks. We'll have to check it to make sure before we play that because it could be copyright from something else. They're down, and Mama Odie goes down hard. Watch Mama Odie again. I love this.
Wait, so that's how
Dig
they
a little
die?
deeper.
Yeah.
Because Indara clears them out of his mind, and then they just die.
Well, I don't think Did we get confirmation that they died?
You know, we got to watch it again. It's too
Do you
great.
think they're sleeping?
Man, take a
No,
nap.
they're dead.
Well,
No, they're
they
dead.
never check on
They're
the
dead already.
bodies. Soul leaves the bodies there again. Doesn't check any of them.
They're dead.
No, guys, you realize that is a perfect.
All
clip.
right, Lauren's on board now. Lauren sees what we're dealing with every week.
Force lobotomy. It's a force lobotomy. I told you.
Guys, no.
No, that is force. That's force nap.
Folks, this
time,
is why
dude.
you're here. This is why you come to these after parties, to see somebody witness what we watched and lose it.
No,
Lord.
guys, you know what? This is it's a gold mine when you get super chats, right? You get a big super chat, and everyone's just like, just like that. See?
All I hear is the Pac-Man sound. Like,
Wobble, wobble, wobble.
You know what's going through my head when I see that? I think it's better without sound, because all I could think of was, you don't write. You say.
They say we have no fun. We're just haters, folks. We love watching particular clips of this show.
This is the best part of the whole show right here. Is the after party. That's it.
That's
I
right.
mean, that's it.
Truly Talking Dead after this episode. All right, guys, we need to see where we're going with a score for this. We're going to start with John. We're going to run around the clock here, clockwise fashion. 0 to 10, just like we've done before. 5 is average. 10 is the greatest thing you've ever seen at Citizen Kane. 0 is Garbage Pail Kids bad. Rainbow Bride and the Star Stealer. Here we go. John, what does episode 7, the penultimate, get from you?
I'm a broken record, just like this show is, so it's a 1 out of 10 again because they made something.
oh no,
1 out of 10. Culture.
that's not kind, John. Look, okay, so I just want to say that, like Mike Zero, this is a number 2. This is a number 2.
We love Mike Zero, though. We should have Mike on sometime. I don't know if he'll come down here.
I'm going to say this in front of all humanity. I love the guy. I think he's great. And I
He
watch his
knows
stuff
what he's
all the
doing, and
time.
he's listen. He's having a lot of fun.
No. It's true. But he's a 2. I'm excuse. This is a 2, and the reason it's a 2 is calm down.
He's doing the Stephen Colbert thing when Colbert was doing the O'Reilly pastiche.
He used to be funny, but I will say this: no, this is a 2, and it's because it tried really hard to be Star Wars.
Tried to be something.
What?
It tried. It tried. I just look. I will reward the fact that you can kill a lot of people by pushing out the demon. This was the best scene I've ever seen. I still don't know how they died, but they did. Okay, but Mama Turd.
That's how the Oscars, folks. That's acting right there.
Mama
for that puppet,
Turdface
Mama Odie.
She did not fall backwards like everybody else. No. She fell forwards. So somebody's
All right, so you're giving it a 2. Is that right, Culture?
Yeah, because somebody's going to have to clean that
John's
up.
giving it a 1. Okay, Vash, what's your score?
I'm gonna have to go like 1.5. Can we do 1? Can we do 1.5?
You can do 1.5.
Only because of some of the action sequences at the end there with the Jedi copping around. Even though they were not good, at least it was something more than the previous episode. And so but the plot contrivances, the bad effects, the bad storytelling, the carelessness, ineptitude of the Jedi, every single man is bad, all these things. It's just getting really old at this point. Horrible performances as well. It's got to be 1.5.
All right, Jonas.
I'm going to give it a 6.
Oh!
What? You just give it a 6.
Hell take Jonas.
I'm not even going to ask why.
Finally, a
Good
man
job
of
up our
culture
average.
in the chat right here. Mega Nerd X, Skies of Arcadia on Dreamcast.
Yes!
Skies of Arcadia is a masterpiece. So.
Okay, all right, hang on.
It's a
Mass
must-play
Effect,
RPG.
I can forget and be fine for the rest of my life, but I would love to get another copy of Skies of Arcadia. That was a great game.
I have it.
You're trying to deflect from the fact that you just gave this episode a 6.
Yeah, no.
John, well,
John,
let me
John,
explain.
No, hey, Jonas,
the first
no,
2
but
episodes got a 5 for production value, And this one, there was actually some moments between Saul's character, Saul and what's her name, Indara, that were actually decent acting. So I did see some acting in this episode. The lightsaber fight was semi-interesting.
The virgins.
Easy, Vash. All right. Vash is like, what did I do wrong? I said it the way they said it. Culture, what do you got?
I want John to write a story on Jonas's bad opinion because, oh my gosh.
What? Well, I'm just trying to be consistent here.
I thought that I was going to be kind.
If you go say it in the Magic Kingdom, Jonas, I can write the story.
I thought I was going to be kind because I'm giving it a 3.5. That's the highest score I think I've given any episode. And I'm only giving it that because things actually happened in this episode.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. The lightsaber fight we saw a few episodes ago doesn't count. So
what happened that we didn't already know? We knew all of this. You didn't need.
We got a Wookiee fight. The witches made me laugh really, really hard. I've not laughed that hard since. What was the last thing that made me laugh that hard? When the 12-year-old girl bashed the helmet off.
Oh man, did you see the clip? That helmet is rubber. First of all, it's never going to fit on her head.
I did it all for the Wookiee. Yeah, the Wookiee. Yeah.
So you can take that.
There you go.
And stick it. Never mind. And Marvin, tell us
the
where
chat
we're going
is so angry at my score and the fact that I'm no longer interested in Mass Effect.
Marvin, stick us with a number on this.
I'm not interested in Mass Effect either.
So,
see?
Okay, so
Everybody needs a villain.
I thought the Wookiee fight was fun for like a minute, but it does not supersede the fact that they took Soul, Jedi Master Squid Games, the one good character they created in this entire thing, and completely ruined him by making him creepy and just a total assassination of the character, 110%. So for that, if I may quote an infinitely better piece of media than this, 0.0.
All right. Well, that actually gives us a whole number. I was hoping you would do that. We've got our final score then.
That's why you were saving me.
Final score then, folks, made by Jonas J. Campbell, lifted up to a higher level, and by me, I guess, a 2 out of 10 for this episode. Folks, 2 out of 10 is the score. That's right. Thank you, Jonas. You kept us out of 1.5 territory.
Is this the highest rated episode now?
No, that goes to episode
5.
I think episode 2 and episode 5 had higher scores.
How did episode 2 get rated that high? Are we talking about the second week or episode 2?
Literally episode 2, the first week. I think it had like a 2.5 or a 3 or something.
Bad makeup on
and
Torbin.
That was also your fault, Joe.
Yeah.
John, I sent you gold. So
the fact that this
in the message system. Sorry.
The fact that the speeder bikes looked better in Return of the Jedi than in this $200 million show.
Yes. Much better.
All right, folks, that is the review of episode 7, but they are going to get very nasty for one more episode. I think the media narrative is going to get just increasingly ugly until it's over, and then there will be no merchandise. There will be no T-shirts. There will be no caps. There will be no fun. There will be no people playing as Acolyte characters in Fortnite. Why? Because nobody likes this show. Not even the people who made it like this show. They just like hating each other. That is the story. Folks, click the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, it's a long one. We're done for today. No, we've got more on the way. 2 more videos for you folks, and we hope you enjoy them. Thank you so much for being the gigawatts that drive everything we do here. Remember, folks, it is of imperative importance. Be nice to one another, and even when the other side is vicious and mean, make sure that you do not respond in the same way. As the Acolyte, I think, is teaching us, laugh at it. It's the best medicine you can find. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.